Campside Media.
Hey, Campside listeners, welcome to Inside the Tent, a series where we go behind the scenes of your favorite Campside shows. I'm Matthew Scher, one of the founders of Campside. Today, I'm going to be talking to Sean Flynn about the Brothers Ortiz, his new podcast. The Brothers Ortiz is about two brothers, Gabe, who grew up to be one of the highest-ranking law enforcement officers in the state of Texas, and Larry, who grew up to be a drug dealer and a prison gang leader. But the pair would always be family. The Brothers Ortiz is a working-class noir about family, the curses of generations, the secrets we keep, and how far we'll go to protect the people we love. I've really enjoyed listening to the Brothers Ortiz, and I know you will too. If you want more behind-the-scenes content from our shows and the people who made them, head to joincampside.com to become a free member of the Campside community. That's joincampside.com. Now here's my conversation with Sean Flynn, the host of the Brothers Ortiz. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing good. So give us the Wikipedia first paragraph version of Brothers Ortiz.
You got two brothers who grew up on opposite sides of the law. Gabe grows up to be the third highest ranking law enforcement officer in the state of Texas, and his brother Larry grows up to be a dead drug dealer. So that's the premise of the show right there. You got these two brothers on opposite sides of the law. What made it interesting for us is how much Gabe didn't know. He knew that his brother Larry had been in and out of prison, and he knew he had some involvement with drugs, but he didn't know a whole lot of the details. And he didn't know a lot of details about his own family. So what was interesting about it is he didn't investigate his brother's murder, because that was pretty straightforward. But in making the podcast, he was sort of investigating his own family, and we were there with him as he's learning things in real time that he didn't know for 30 years.
Before you started reporting this podcast, how much had been covered of this story? Where had it been in local newspapers, magazines?
Very, very little. So this happened down in Brazoria County, which is on the Gulf Coast south of Houston. And there was some local press coverage, but that was it. There was actually very, very little written about it. We heard about it just through someone who knew Gabe, sort of just a weird happenstance that a friend of a friend knew this guy and was fascinated by the story. So he put Gabe and myself in touch, and Gabe and I took it from there.
What was the bar to entry with Gabe? Was he on board right away? Was this something you wanted to talk about and participate in?
It was. Everyone reacts to these things differently, to these kind of traumas. But for Gabe, talking about it, he found really therapeutic. The man's a cop. His job is to, in fact, he was in charge of prison gang investigations for a while. It's literally his job to know what people like his own brother were doing. And he did. And he was wrestling with that. How much was he willfully blind to, as opposed to stupidly blind to?
How did you handle reporting for this one? Did you go down and tape one initial interview and then tape more after that? Did you do it all in one session?
We did it all in one shot. With Gabe, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. I did. I went down to Austin and spent a few days with Gabe. And then a producer and I went down to Brazoria County later. And it was very strange. This was, we bent one of the basic rules of reporting, in that Gabe was there for several of them. It was unavoidable. Like, his mother wouldn't talk to us unless Gabe was there. But it worked out because, we were sitting right there when Gabe found out that his father had a long-time drug problem that Gabe never knew about. He was there when he found out his sister used to cook crack cocaine in her trailer. So, yeah, we weren't really comfortable with it, but it was by necessity, and it kind of worked out.
Who did you not get? Who was not participating?
Larry's widow. He'd been with her. Her name is Kissy, and he'd been with her since they were 16. Since Larry was 16, she was 15, I think. They had 3 kids together. only one of which was actually Larry's biological child. They had uh, a pretty rough and tumble relationship over the years, but they were still together. And she flat out just refused. We tried a number of ways in. I'm still not clear why she refused. And then Larry's son, Larry the third, who everyone calls third, he also wouldn't talk to us, which I understand why. When you get to that, when you listen to the show, you'll understand why too. But we gave him a pretty wide berth, though. We tried to be as respectful to both of them, really. I mean, there were we only talked about Kissy and third when it was necessary to keep the story moving. When it was necessary context.
What else was available for archival? Was there anything from trials or from witness interviews?
No, there was very, very little. We had Larry's Facebook videos. Larry was a dedicated Facebook video guy. He made videos for all sorts of reasons and for no reason at all. And they were actually pretty sweet. So we had most of those.
This was a pretty small team, right? You and a producer,
yep,
basically for the whole go. Did anyone else rotate on?
We had Audrey Quinn came in to do the story editing, and she was great. You've always got these blind spots that there's something and you think it should be obvious, and it's not. And so, yeah, Audrey was terrific. And then Garrett Tiedemann did all of our sound design and original music, and well, Garrett, he's fantastic too.
And Lane was the producer, right?
Yep. Lane produced. Lane and I she was there for the bulk of the reporting. It was a pretty good little trip.
So this is what number podcast is this, Sean? Is this the fourth?
The Bearing 3. The fourth long one, but then there's 6 one-offs.
So from all the ones that came before, what did you learn, I suppose, from all these different projects that you brought to this one?
I don't know if something that I learned so much or just was reminded of for like the 80th time. And we said it right at the beginning of the show. Larry was a criminal, a career criminal, but he wasn't a bad guy, if that makes sense. I mean, we have really stupid drug laws for one, but we also don't give people enough of a chance to redeem themselves, because Larry was, as he got older, a lot of Larry's law breaking was to protect his family because he didn't have any other choice. I mean, he only had so many options open to him, so he used the options that he had.
Tell me about the process for this. So you have a small team, a relatively small budget to get this done. Yeah. Did you guys outline it first? Did you know where you were going, I guess, before you got into the scripting, or was this kind of all happening at the same time?
Right. That's interesting. As you know, there's such a huge difference between the stuff we grew up doing, with the magazine work and audio work. So if this had been a magazine story, there's a really simple format of you kill him, you bring him back to life, and then you kill him again. That's straight on through. And that's where we sort of started with this. And that just did not work at all. And it wasn't until I think we had all of the material before we were able to sort it all out and figure out where to start, which is really the most difficult part for us, because it's sort of, the working title was The Murder of Larry Ortiz. So you already knew he was going to get murdered. But once we figured out where we were starting, and it's only like the first, 10 minutes or so, but it was the trickiest part to get right. And then after that, it moves pretty chronologically.
Why didn't it work? That sort of traditional setup of a flash forward, follow through, and then get back to the murder.
Because we didn't care about him at all. Nobody cared about him. It was just the crime itself. The actual murder is not particularly notable. And I know that sounds a little dismissive. And Larry was if you only know that Larry was a career criminal and he's dead, you just You don't care about him. It was smarter, and it made more sense to start with Gabe sort of excavating his own life and his relationship with his brother and with his family.
Did you have it storyboarded out, or did you guys have like a kind of living outline for this one?
No, we literally just went episode to episode. Once we were done with one, we knew exactly where two was going. So we were able to block them all out one by one, but we didn't have the whole episode. I've just never worked that way. I probably should.
Well, it allows you to move faster if you don't do it. But then if you encounter a fatal error in the structure,
Yes.
that's when it becomes costly, right?
Yes.
But it sounds like the potential fatal error here was at the very beginning. And once you figured that out, it all just kind of slotted into place.
Yes. Figuring out what we were going to do to make people listen beyond the first 5 minutes, if we even have that long. So that was setting up that central mystery was the tricky part.
How do you think about how people are consuming these podcasts when you're picturing them trying to decide whether to listen? What are you picturing?
I'm picturing very short attention spans.
Yeah.
I literally think we've got like 2-3 minutes, and either they're going to stick with it or they're not. Maybe we'll get them a whole episode in. I don't know. You've got the analytics. What do they tell you?
I mean, I think it probably really depends, but I agree it happens very quickly. But what's funny about that is you don't really know what you're going to get in 3 minutes. So you're basing it off like tone, I guess, or yeah, basically tone, feeling, right? Writing style. I'm just thinking about myself when I decide whether to keep listening or not.
Yeah. I mean, there are just so many that I don't listen to. So many like really hyped ones. And I'd be like, you fucking kidding me?
And what is it that's doing it in those moments? Like what's telling you no?
This is a personal tick, but there's been a lot of shows where the narrator is way too big of a character. I mean, I was just listening to a couple, and it's like, I don't care how you got your assistant. What's the point? Are you really going to tell me a story about making your podcast? And I think that just comes from, again, the stuff that you and I have done all these years is we're not characters in magazine stories.
Yeah. What's so interesting is that people do seem to want it more than they used to, or in certain circumstances, they gravitate towards it. And I don't really know how to explain that. I even see it in magazine stories now too, even in the New Yorker. Like I've encountered many more that start with I or me or in the first person. I'm not a smart enough anthropologist or sociologist to know why that is, but it's definitely something shifted in some way.
Yeah, it's very weird. I mean, look, there's going to be times where it's unavoidable, but it gets overused.
Yeah.
I mean, the opening of this show, I'm in it. Lane and I are both in it, but it's not about us. It's about, we're with Gabe, and Gabe is doing the talking. But
so what did Gabe think?
Gabe actually loved it. Yeah. Which I was a little surprised, relieved, but a little surprised. It's definitely not a story about what a great cop Gabe is, or what a great brother Gabe was, or any of that. I mean, it's not that he's a bad cop or a bad brother, but this isn't really the Gabe story. I think it's ended up being much more the Larry story and the Ortiz family story than the Gabe story.
This is a funny quandary. Like you want somebody to like it, but you don't want them to like it too much.
Exactly, because then it's like, well, I wasn't trying to make you look good, man. It's
yeah.
I mean, Gabe's a good guy. I'm not suggesting anything otherwise.
When you finish a podcast like this, do you think, God, I really want to make another podcast? Or you like, I want to go and write something and not do audio? Because I always feel like I want to go, I get like a hunger or an urge to write by myself in a room for a while after making a podcast.
No, I want to go back and make another podcast.
Do you? Why? What's the attraction?
I physically hate writing. Literally, it's weird. It's the only way I've ever made a living, and I fucking hate it. The actual writing. I love the reporting. Sometimes I'm happy with a sentence or a structure, but making these audio shows, I'm trying to get away from the word podcast. I've been working on multi-part narrative nonfiction audio stories, but so far that's not catching on with anybody.
That's so snappy. Why is it not catching on? It's great.
Like podcasts. It's like, how many podcasts are just two doofuses with a microphone? And I know you're doing one of those now, so I'm not going to call you a doofus. But I
listen to origin stories wherever you get your podcasts.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. Yeah. I've just really enjoyed this format. And I get what you're saying about working alone. And I don't know, I guess I've just been self-employed for so many years, and I've worked alone for so many years, that it was sort of nice to work with some other people.
Yeah, that team aspect to it is really nice. And it makes it feel more rewarding too. You have someone to share everything along the way with in a way that you don't with the magazine story.
And I've had like awesome teammates, from the bearing forward. Everyone's been great. So, and I've learned a lot, learned a whole lot. So now if we can just revive this industry, that would be nice.
We're working on it.
Okay.
Sean, thank you for doing this.
Thanks again to Sean and the rest of the Brothers Ortiz team, and thank you for listening to Inside the Tent. Don't forget to head over to joincampside.com to become a free member of the Campside community. That's joincampside.com.